Good morning, Integrated Math 1. I hope you all had a wonderful weekend. This week, we are going to be looking at two-step inequalities. So we're going to be adding one extra step to what we were doing last week. And let's begin. So as a review, we have some things I want to cover. I'm going to continue repeating this until you all remember, okay? Less than or greater than has an open circle. Less than or equal to or greater than equal to has a closed circle. If the variable is on the left, we're going to shade in the same direction that the inequality is pointing. And then if the variable is on the right, we're going to shade in the opposite direction that the inequality is pointing. So let's do some practice. So this is from last week. This is a slight review. We have x minus 1 is greater than or equal to 9. So to be able to solve this here, we have to get x by itself. So I am going to add 1 to both sides. And when I do that, I am left with x. And if you remember, if you want to make your greater than symbol underlined, you can click Control U, or you can also click this U button up top, which says underline. And then 9 plus 1 is 10. Also make sure you undo it so your 10's not underlined. So once we have that, I can graph. So I know I'm going to have a dot on 10, and because it's equal to, it's going to be closed. So I'm going to click and drag my closed dot to 10. My x value is on the left-hand side, so I'm going to have my arrow go in the same direction as the inequality, which is pointing to the right. And the only other thing I'm going to do is just fix my arrow. Okay, so there's that graph. Let's do another one here. So I have x minus 5 is greater than 2. So I want to get x by itself, so I am going to add 5 to both sides. When I do that, I am left with x is greater than 2 plus 5 is 7. So same thing, this is an open circle on 7. And then my arrow is going to point to the right because my variable is on the correct side and the inequality is pointing to the right. Here we go. So let's look at a two-step. So same process, we still want to get x by itself. So the first thing we always want to move is the number on the same side of x, but not next to it. So if you notice, I have -1 and it's right next to x, and then I have a 5, and that one's not right next to x. So I'm going to move that one first, and to be able to move it, I am going to subtract 5. I'm doing the opposite, right? I was adding 5 here, now I'm subtracting. When I do that, I am left with -1x is less than, and then -2 minus 5 is -7. And notice this is equal to, so I'm going to underline my inequality. The next thing I want to do is get rid of my -1 by my x. And so to be able to do that, we actually have to divide. So when a number and a variable are right next to each other, the opposite is to divide. So I'm just going to type it kind of right in here as divide by -1. Okay? And so when I divide both sides by -1, I'm left with x on the left, and if you remember, our inequality sign is going to flip and be underlined. And then -7 divided by -1 is +7. And remember, we don't want our number underlined, so make sure you undo it. So x is still on the left. This is equal to, so it's a closed circle on 7. And then we are going to have it point to the right, because that's now the way our inequality is pointing. Oop, clicked on the wrong thing. Hold on. I'm going to shorten this first and then click and drag it. Okay, so that is our inequality. Let's do another one. So same process. I have a number next to x, I have a number not next to x, and then I have the number on the other side. So I'm going to do the opposite of minus 3, and I am going to add 3 to both sides. I am left with 2x is less than 9 plus 3 is 12. And what's great about this is we have no negative, so we don't have to worry about flipping any signs. So now the last step is to divide by 2. Divide by 2, and then I'll fix this so they're all on one line. 2 divided by 2 just leaves me with x is less than, and then 12 divided by 2 leaves us with a positive 6. The less than symbol, so we have an open circle on 6, and then this is going to be pointing to the left as x is on the left-hand side, and we're going to match the inequality. Okay? For number 7, this one's going to be slightly different, but still the same process. Notice I have a negative 2. It is next to my x. I have my plus 1, and then I have my 5. So I'm going to follow the same process. I am going to subtract 1 first. When I do that, I get left with, and so when we have x over negative 2, if it's easier for you to type it, write it as x slash negative 2 is greater than or equal to, and then 5 minus 1 is 4. Okay? And now to get rid of this division of negative 2, I am going to multiply by negative 2. And then when we do that, negative 2 being divided and then multiplied leaves us just with an x. Because I'm multiplying by a negative number on both sides, our sign is going to flip, but it will still be equal to. And then 4 times negative 2 gives us negative 8. So it is equal to, so it will be closed circle on negative 8. It is pointing to the left, so my arrow is going to point to the left. And there we go. So one more, and then we're done here for the day. So I am going to, same process, add 2 to both sides first. And then I'm going to be left with x divided by 7 is less than negative 3 plus 2 gives us a negative 1. All right, let's move this over just a tad. So to get rid of my division of 7, I am going to multiply by 7 and multiply by 7. When I do that, I am left with x. Notice the sign's not flipping because it wasn't a negative 7. And then negative 1 times negative 7 gives us negative 7. So again, it is going to be an open circle. It is going to be on negative 7. And for this one as well, it will be pointing to the left. Okay, for the rest of the week, you guys have your week 4 online learning slides. And just like last week, these are due at 3 p.m. On Friday, May 1st, you have a practice worksheet that is titled 5.3. It is 4 questions, I believe. And then you also have Khan Academy, which I posted earlier this morning. And those are also due by 3 p.m. on Friday. Please reach out if you have any questions, and I will see you during our live session later in the week. Have a great rest of your day, guys.